Footy fans and CPL supporters, welcome to the 2026 Canadian Premier League U Sports Draft presented by Degree. My name is Adam Jenkins, and I'm pleased to be joined by Kostas Smirniotis, the Executive Vice President of the Canadian Premier League, as we kick off our 8th annual draft, where 16 young men will hear their names called and have an opportunity to train with their Canadian Premier League club that drafts them and crack a roster like we've seen so many do. Costa, year 8. This is a partnership that has existed as long as there has been a Canadian Premier League, and over the years it's felt very mutually beneficial. The players get to stay in school, retain that eligibility, and get some valuable professional reps and minutes. Whether or not they become regular starters, that environment of being a part of the CPL, so key for these young men.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It's been around since the inception of our league, and it's been a very valued partnership with U Sports. It adds quite a bit. It's a mark on our schedule that everybody looks forward to. And again, it's an opportunity to be able to kind of work with student athletes, athletes that have gone down the university path. Schooling's at the forefront, and we're able to bring them into a good development environment and give them the opportunity to also make soccer part of their livelihood.
And I know I can selfishly say, like I do every year, U Sports pretty important to me too, and the broadcasters who might want to stand in these shoes someday. So it's a really big part of this ecosystem that we're trying to build here in Canada. Something that is very unique about this draft and the players that come through it, yes, they're proud of their alma maters and where they've come from, but there's a lot of tie-ins to League One as well, from Ontario, Alberta, Quebec, etc. It is really a proving ground where this U Sports season is pretty small, relatively speaking, August to October, November. But then they get that continuity staying in the CPL ecosystem to help them get them ready for this day.
Yeah, and to be honest, you see the majority of the players are coming from very good environments, from League One environments, that then kind of tie into very good U Sports environments. And for us, that gives almost a 12-month development opportunity for these players, where they're in trusted environments throughout the year. You can monitor them throughout the year. And when you add the ability to come into our CPL clubs, I think it's a great environment for these players to get the best of all those worlds combined.
Well, over the years, we've seen a lot of players come through the CPL-U Sports Draft that have become household names for CPL supporters, and very soon we'll hear the next batch who will be drafted into the Canadian Premier League. Costa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Adam.
So over the 7 previous seasons, 115 players have heard their names called. 42 of those have gone on to sign CPL-U Sports contracts. An additional 28 of those players have become full-on professionals, signing the SPC in the Canadian Premier League, and nearly 700 CPL appearances amongst those drafted in this event. We say welcome back. The man to my left, Gareth Wheeler, a national champion back in 1999 with the Stangs. We might see a Western Mustang or two drafted today, Gareth. As someone who's played in U Sports in the OUA and its various names over the years, how important is this draft to what we're trying to build with the CPL and the Canadian soccer pyramid?
Well, thank you for pointing out how old exactly I am.
I was 3, but that's okay.
20 years ago, it was me playing on the field like a number of these players playing across U Sports. It was CIAU, and then it turned into CIS at that time. But unlike now, we didn't have this opportunity to go on and play professionally in this country unless you had requisite connections or you had that ability to take it to the next level above and beyond outside this country. And it did happen because there were some real top players playing at that time. Now there's mutual benefits for the player, the ability to be around professional environments throughout the summer months. If they want to go back to school, these developmental contracts allow them to do so and help with their education as well, which is obviously extremely important. I think it's big for the clubs, giving players an opportunity. There isn't just one pathway. There's obviously multiple now for players in this country. You mentioned some of the great players of the Canadian Premier League who have come from U Sports. Joel Waterman and Garvin Matusala could very well be playing in the World Cup next summer, along with Abubakar Sissoko, who just won a North Star Cup. Like, there's plenty of top players who have earned their stripes and earned their way into professional setups as well. So I love this draft. I love the way that you host. It's a pleasure to be alongside you today, and I hope for the best for a number of these young players who are going to be drafted to a CPL club here today.
Okay, so let's see how it's going to work then. The draft order, it is staggered heavily in the first round as FC Supra du Québec will make the first 2 picks in this edition. We will also see Vancouver FC picking twice. It was through the Gabriel Bitar deal with Inter Toronto back in 2025. So we will see them with picks 3 and 5. Pacific, Halifax, and Cavalry Forge, Atletico Ottawa to round out the first. We will repeat the same in round 2 without FC Supra du Québec, who are on the clock right now. Well, to get the draft started, it is a pleasure now to welcome in the co-founder and president of FC Supra du Québec, Mr. Rocco Placentino. One of the busiest men in Canadian soccer, I'm sure right now, Rocco, as you get this club off the ground. Very shortly, your supporters will hear their first few names of players to get to know. But if we open the curtain a little bit further and ask you how this build of a brand new club is going, could you provide an update to us and your passionate supporters?
Yeah, since the launch on September 24th, it's been nonstop working. Building a club from scratch is like nurturing a newborn baby, and we're very excited. We've been working hard ever since we launched on September 24th. On September 25th, we woke up, and it's been rock and roll ever since. We're very excited. We're grateful to be playing in the CPL, and we can't wait to kick off a ball in 2026 April.
Well, we know that the RSEQ is one of the most talented conferences in all of U Sports, consistent perennial contenders. And from those clubs, those universities, some great athletes to choose from. FC Supra has the first 2 picks of the draft this season. So without further ado, Rocco, let's get this draft started with pick number 1.
Yes, so pick number 1 is Calin, and I'm going to make a mistake on his last name, but it's Calin Kalaididugu. Calin is a player that we've known for years, played with FC Laval. He's done very well with DM, and along with the coaching staff and Mateo, our sporting director, for us was an important pick. And he's going to bring, whatever he has to bring to our preseason and show our coaches and staff that he belongs to be at the pro level.
So, Rocco, as you're looking at these players to choose from, is this more of the best available player in your eyes from the conference, or is there a certain mold of player that you were looking to find from this U Sports pool?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. Our coaches have a style of play. So, of course, like you said, in the RSQ, there's so many great soccer players that play at the amateur level, and we're familiar with a lot of them because they all play in League One. But Calin fits the type of soccer that our coaches want to install on the field. So that's why it was. I wasn't surprised when they were talking about him, and his name came up a lot. And when they decided to go in for number 1, I was on the same page because I think he's a good footballer. A lot of competition in the middle for sure. A lot of competition, but it's up to him to show it to all of us that he belongs here.
Okay, Calin Kalaididugu, pardon me, goes first in the draft this season. Pick number 2, please, sir.
So pick number 2 is Alexandre Marco. He's been a player that I've seen day in, day out this past summer because he's been in CS Saint-Laurent, where I was formerly working at. Striker, forward, young, passionate, energetic, has an eye for goal. He doesn't make the lives of defenders simple because he's always on them. So we're very pleased with our second pick, and can't wait to see him what he's able to do at the pro level.
So the Université du Québec à Trois-Rivières, a forward. What is the profile? Is this your poacher? Is this your out-and-out goal scorer? What type of number 9 or attacker are you hoping to find here?
Yeah, so you just nailed it. He's a poacher. Like he's a pain in you know what for defenders, right? He's always on them, and then in the box he's dangerous. He gets in good scoring opportunities, scoring positions, and I think maybe being at the pro level, playing with players that are a lot more, that have a lot more quality, it'll better his game to have more scoring chances. But in terms of being our first defender from the top, it's a player that works very, very hard, and he's such a humble kid, and can't wait to see what he's able to give us in 2026.
Rocco Placentino, a co-founder and president of FC Supra du Québec. The first 2 names for supporters to really get to know here. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations and best of luck with this, I'm sure, very busy off-season.
Thank you very much, and grateful for being a part of the CPL now, and start making some noise already in 2026. Thank you.
Okay, Gareth, Kalajdzioglu and Marku, a midfielder and a forward. This FC Supra team that still has a lot to build has the beginnings of an identity.
Yeah, Kalajdzioglu is a very interesting player. He's a ton of fun to watch, and there's been a lot of hype around this player since a very young age through the CF Montreal Academy. He spent time in multiple European countries kind of working on his craft as well, including Italy, Spain, and France, and playing 2 years of professional football in Moldova as well. And he's a player that can step right in right away. He's a little bit older at 24, but the way that I think about him, he's fun. He might not be the most athletic player, but we've seen players that might not be able to run for days do really well from the technical side of things in the Canadian Premier League. I think he could be a day one player that provides an impact for FC Supra du Quebec. And Alexandre Marco, I mean, he's coming off a really good season, you know, a first-team All-Canadian, had a really strong national championship as well. And this is what the theme will be for Supra, is the fact that they're relying on what they know. And so the Saint Laurent connection is there, and I think that this will be a recurring theme as they continue to build that club out.
All right, from here on out, it is up to Gareth and I. So pick 3 we know is Vancouver, and now we can tell you that the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft from Vancouver FC is Joseph Green out of the Mount Royal University Cougars, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Gareth, a defender.
Yeah, he's a 2007, so green is very green. He's very young. He was, for Mount Royal, he was a conference Rookie of the Year candidate. Played for part of the Canada West champions. First-year starter as well. Good with both feet. He's athletic. Positive with the ball. Good aerial presence as well. So Vancouver, you know, sticking with a West Coast player and a player who really impressed in his early career in U Sports.
Well, Vancouver make their first pick of the draft. They will be picking again shortly. But next up, Pacific FC, and we've known that they've had success with one brother Tugwell, and going back to the Tugwell this year, Gareth Wheeler, as Archie is selected 4th overall from the University of Victoria Vikes, a Victorian native.
Finn also familiar in Victoria, and they're keeping things on the island. A 4-year player and as reliable as they come. He's a defensively focused center back, good aerial ability, and really solid in one-on-one duels. Good mobility for his size as well, decent enough passing range. So if you want reliability, and certainly Pacific needs that at the back, Adam, a familiar face and player to that club and community and the family as well. But this is what you want. He's been proven at U Sports. He's had a very good 4-year career, and now he's looking to join his brother with the Pacific Club.
Okay, we are going back to Vancouver for pick number 5. A reminder, this had been Inter Toronto's selection that was dealt to Vancouver in exchange for Gabriel Bitar, and a bit of a different position from the Eagles this time, Gareth, as they are going to goalkeeper with Mateus de Souza from the University of Fraser Valley Cascades. The best logo in U Sports, it has to be said every time he's mentioned, and Langley United in League One.
Well,
BC.
there you go, a 6'4" goalkeeper. You know, maybe the heir apparent at some point to Callum Irving out there. Vancouver, like Pacific, just need help at the back. Green will certainly help in that area, but also De Souza with the goalkeeper. You might as well start there. He comes from the Whitecaps Academy, and he's a second-team All-Canadian for this season. Strong shot stopper, clean long passing balls as well. Recorded 8 clean sheets in 17 Can West matches over the course of 2025. Big body, like that presence. Think he'll be a good understudy to learn from the great Callum Irving to see where that goes from there.
Okay, from the West Coast to the Atlantic Coast, the Halifax Wanderers next. They've had great success doing some shopping over the years from the Cape Breton University Capers. That is where they are selecting once again in the first round, as they select Harvey Hughes, a fullback from Southampton, England, going as pick number 6 today.
I was going to say they've had some success in finding players from the UK as well, and Hughes is the latest addition. Played for the runners-up out east in the Atlantic Conference. He's only 21 years old, so another very young player for this team, and they need help in fullback areas. I didn't think they had a lot of depth in that areas last season. Good two-way player, high engine, good delivery from wide areas, and very unselfish. So that work rate and playing from a wide area, no matter what formation the next manager will want to play at him, that's a little bit of a mystery what that will look like right now. But certainly, I think that was an area of weakness in the team last year that hopefully Hughes can step in and perhaps find himself a role within the team.
So Harvey Hughes, from Calgary Foothills in League One, Alberta. It will be back-to-back Foothills selections as Cavalry, who have typically stayed in Western Canada with their draft picks, Tommy Wheeldon Jr. and Tofa Fakunli, have selected Emmanuel Dan Aidekun from Trinity Western University. The Spartans, a forward to join that great core with Tobias Warshevsky and company.
Just like Sigma to Forge, now Saint Laurent to Supra. I mean, it's the Foothills that have provided so many really good players coming through. He's athletic. He uses physicality to unsettle defenders. Good pace as well, and quick pace as well. Decent movement off the shoulder and inside the box. So certainly Tommy Wheeldon Jr. and company know these players. It's like a family-like situation out there, and a lot of their success has come from breeding that level of familiarity that turns into success. So not a surprising draft pick here whatsoever by Cavalry.
Okay, 2 picks remaining in the first round. Next up will be Forge. From Milton, Ontario, their selection from the Toronto Metropolitan University Bold is Noah Bickford and the Simcoe County Rovers of League One Ontario, a defender from the GTHA.
Yeah, the captain of the team. So
right.
He seems like a Forge pick already. And obviously, a player that's from a local perspective and has been part of success with Simcoe County Rovers as well. He's 6'3", so a big player. He's composed under pressure. He has a strong aerial presence as well. The fact that Oluwabi Belawu is on his way out to go back and play in the UK, I think that there needs to be a little bit more depth at the center back position, and certainly the potential to get younger in that area helps as well. Natural leader, seems like a Bobby Smirniotis type player for me, so the fit is absolutely there.
And with the final pick in the opening round, selection number 9, it is to the North Star Cup champions Atletico Ottawa. Also doing some hometown shopping, it is Gabriel Tardif from the Brock Badgers and Ottawa South United, a midfielder for the fantastic group that are still reveling in the championship glory wheels.
11 goal distributions this week. That's what this past season, that's what he's going to bring to the nation's capital. A second team OUA All-Star. He's a combative player in the midfield, and perhaps, they rotate those players, and Zapater retiring, so they're always looking for more options in the midfield areas. He's versatile, can play close up to the striker or in a double pivot, something that Diego Mejia will absolutely value. A decent enough creative vision as well. So the Brock Badger going to the nation's capital to play with Atletico Ottawa.
And with that, the end of the first round. Let's recap the selections. It began with a double dose from FC Supra du Québec, Kalin Kalajaglu from the University of Montreal. Alexandre Marcoux from UQTR went second. Joe Green to Vancouver from the Mount Royal University Cougars. Archie Tugwell, the UVic Vike to Pacific, staying on the island. Mateus de Souza from the UFV Cascades to Vancouver through Inter Toronto. Harvey Hughes to the Halifax Wanderers from the Capers of Cape Breton University. Emmanuel Dan Aidekun to Cavalry, Noah Bickford to Forge, and rounding out the first round, Gabriel Tardif, the Brock Badger, pick number 9 to Atletico Ottawa. When we come back to the CPL-U Sports Draft, a look back in the time capsule, some of the greatest exports, not just of the CPL, but from U Sports to Canada's top flight. The names are aplenty, it might be growing. This is the CPL-U Sports Draft, presented by Degree.
It's Joel Waterman.
Not to be outdone, Victor Laturi. It's back close, Matusala. opens it up for Boubacar. Still driving, but Boubacar Sissoko. Bring it first time, second effort though, does Tassiasli.
Bitar turning, shooting, what a goal!
It's a good cross in, Angaro!
Isaiah Johnston
Pops off with a headed goal! A blast from the past, some notable selections over the previous 7 CPL-U Sports Drafts. Eric Kobza, dominant last season. Who could forget Easton Angaro and Joel Waterman, who very recently helped us out. That's what I'm saying. 4 of the 9 notable selections. 5. Of course, Isaiah Johnston now with the Halifax Wanderers. The list continues to grow, and players that will be picked in round 2, Gareth, will be hoping to add their name to that list as well. So let's get this second round underway. We had shown you the draft order. It begins with Vancouver FC. And from the UBC Thunderbirds, they have selected a fullback, Nicolas Nadeau from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Out of the great city of Winnipeg. Yeah, I was going to mention, he's actually a converted central midfielder, now plays in wide areas. Probably best suited to play a fullback role, which is interesting. Could this foreshadow Martin Nash staying with Vancouver FC and being able to push him a little bit forward? I know Nash can play with 4 or 3 at the back, but those attacking fullbacks are really what made that team so strong at the end of the season. Nadeau was a high work rate, good transitional profile, good box-to-box runner as well. So with a young and really exciting team for Vancouver FC, I mean, the games are coming fast and furious in February in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So we'll see if Nadeau can make his presence felt in the early days and put himself as part of that equation. They're going to need some players to come in.
Across the Strait of Georgia to Pacific, but the school from which they shop is the same. Another UBC Thunderbird goes, this time to the Tridents. Luke Norman from UBC and Burnaby FC in League One, British Columbia. An interesting midfielder, Gareth, who can play both box-to-box or maybe with a bit more snarl in attack.
No relation, by the way, to David Norman Jr. or the Norman family, but this player was a big part of the national championship winning team from a season ago. 3-year player there, attacking midfield at U Sports level, but maybe projects to be a little bit more of a box-to-box type player in the Canadian Premier League. Good finding pockets of space, a good awareness as well. Just a player with a good footballing mind, and I think that's a type of player that you put him on the field, he'll naturally thrive in a team setup. So we'll see where he goes from here. He was actually the second pick in 2024 and was a first-team CanWest All-Star last season.
The 15th UBC player selected in this draft over the years. A factory in Vancouver, to say the least. Okay, for the first time in the CPL-U Sports Draft, it is Inter Toronto who will select, and they are going back to a familiar well, Gareth Wheeler, as they select Michael Williams, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, was a backup at times last season and a player that won the national championships this season with York United. Had 9 saves in the semifinal match. He's very young, but has a big presence, perhaps bigger than his size. Scouts that I talked to really like this player, handles pressures well, has a long frame and can be explosive at time. He's really quick off his line as well and good in one-on-one. So this could be a player for very much the future and a player based upon his path and his pathway through the York United development setup that the club will be well aware of. And it might be not exciting to some outsiders that it's just a player that they're familiar with bringing in, but I think that this player has a very bright future and could be a long-term solution at the goalkeeping position for Inter Toronto.
And a good time to join the club, the first selection technically for Inter Toronto Football Club. We'll head back to Atlanta, Canada, and the Halifax Wanderers will stay in AUS. This time, though, going to the Blue Eagles of Moncton for their selection. It is Kochi Anji Yapi, the Ivorian forward from Abidjan.
Yeah, just a teenager, nominated for Rookie of the Year in U Sports, and was part of the first team in the Atlantic Conference this year, scored 8 goals as a rookie. He is dynamic, a very good athlete, a direct winger who loves to attack down the flanks, loves to attack players at pace. I mean, this for me, and with Harvey Hughes, I mentioned kind of wide areas like Halifax last year lacked that consistency, that dynamic play. This is a player that can certainly bring it. The fact that he's playing his trade, playing in the Atlantic Conference, is going to be very familiar to the Halifax setup as well. So a natural pick for me, an exciting young player, and we'll see if he can make a difference.
Back to Cavalry, who will be joining their ranks? Well, the answer is Luke Ihama from the Toronto Metropolitan University Bold and Simcoe County Rovers, his hometown club, a Barrie, Ontario native.
Yeah, dynamic fullback. He actually made the move from the college ranks, was the MVP of the college setup at Centennial College the season before making the move to TMU. He's done very well over the course of this. Another young player. Dynamic fullback, active two-way presence, engaged defender who wins a high percentage of aerial and ground duels as well. So, again, Cavalry getting a little bit older in those positions. Garissa Menkoff coming in was a statement signing. Cavalry have generally done well with their U Sports players that they brought in. So the fact that they are bringing a player from the province of Ontario, bringing him west shows how highly Wilden Jr. and company would think of that player.
Takes us to pick number 15, Forge, and their final selection of the 2026 CPL-U Sports Draft from Granby, Quebec, and the Vert et Or of Sherbrooke, Maxime Bourgeois, a midfielder. Mr. Wheeler.
Yeah, coming out of the CF Montreal Academy, was a second-team All-Canadian this year. Secure in terms of possession as a midfielder, high football IQ, and has a good athletic profile as well. Loves to drive forward through the midfield and really carry the responsibility for Sherbrooke's creativity over the course of the season. Good progressive passer as well, and a former Canada under-17 player when he was eligible back in 2019. So another player that fits the bill. Progressive passer, high football IQ, experience, intelligent. Again, seems like a player ready-made to join the ranks at Forge. It hit the ground running, had all kinds of success with Max Fillion, their draft pick last year before he went back to U Sports as well. So perhaps Smiriotis and company have found another impact player.
Yeah, they do some great work with Quebec and CSMRO. A graduate of Celtic Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu goes to Forge, and that takes us to the end. Pick number 16, Joseph Daher from the Carleton University Ravens, another Ottawa, Ontario native. Gareth goes to join Diego Mejia in Ottawa.
I'm familiar with the player from his time with the TFC Academy, bounced around the college ranks in the U.S., Marist, I believe St. John's as well, before coming back to Carleton this year. A fullback with strong technical base, good with both feet. Good, decent enough one-on-one attacker as well in the midfield area. Can thrive in combination play. Not the most physical profile, but his intelligence is good. His technique is good. Interesting for me that Atletico Ottawa are bringing in two midfield players in this window, just trying to bolster that position. But Joseph has been around for a little bit, well known, and I think it's a good pickup by Atletico Ottawa.
We'll see if he has any experience playing in the snow to join the group that hosted the North Star Cup. That's the end of the two-round draft. Let's go through the picks, starting with FC Supra du Québec. Kalin Kalajaglu joins the group of first overall selections. He becomes the 8th first overall selection in this draft from Montreal. Marco from UQTR. Joseph Green, the Mount Royal Cougar. Archie Tugwell. Mateus de Souza from Fraser Valley. Harvey Hughes goes to the Wanderers from Cape Breton. Emmanuel Dan Adekin goes from Trinity Western University. Noah Bickford and Gabriel Tardif wrapped up the first rounds to the respective silverware winners last season. Back-to-back UBC Thunderbirds began the second round. Nicholas Nadeau and Luke Norman. Michael Williams goes back to Inter Toronto FC, and Kochi Angie Iappi from the University of Moncton Blue Eagles to the Halifax Wanderers. Concluding the draft, Luke Ihama to Cavalry from the TMU Bold once again. Maxime Bourgeois from Sherbrooke to Forge, and Joseph Daher to Atletico Ottawa. Gareth, any standouts from the 16 names selected?
Well, I'm just going to say no Western Mustangs this year, but that's okay because it's a young team with high potential, so future drafts, they'll be purple and proud written all over it. look, we'll have to see, because there's clearly surprises that come about every year. Like 2 years ago, if you would have told me that Eric Kobza would have reached the levels that he would have, I mean, he's become a real dominant, flexible force in that Cavalry team. So it's too early to really tell, but I just wish all these players the best in terms of the opportunity that's being provided, whether it's to make a difference right away in the Canadian Premier League or still balance out that professional/U Sports career where they can pursue their education as well. It's the best of both worlds. But some interesting names for us to follow as we kick off what should be a very busy offseason here between the 2025-2026 campaigns.
Well, congratulations to those 16 players, their families, their coaches, and everyone that brought them to this day, selected in the CPL-U Sports Draft presented by Degree. We will see just how many can crack the first-team roster and get some valuable U21 Canadian minutes in a lot of cases in this upcoming Canadian Premier League season. It should be a fabulous upcoming year in the Canadian Premier League. For Gareth Wheeler, I've been Adam Jenkins, and all of us at OneSoccer, we thank you for joining us this afternoon and congratulate one final time the newest CPL draftees at the CPL-U Sports Draft presented by Degree.
Keep it, make something out of it, just to win and lose it 5 seconds after. This could be a long night.
Ahmed drags it into the open space and fires in the opening goal. It took just 4 minutes, but the three-time defending champs have drawn their first blood. So good Irving's been during spot kicks throughout this tournament. Maybe his biggest ever opponent. It's Muller, 2-0. The incumbents, they're comfortably in front on a day where Vancouver needed to be perfect. Kubas underhits the ball. Muller re-engages in the dogfight. Mesquita, the Whitecap Centurion, ahead for Boys in the clear. Tierno Ba! So you're telling me, Langley, you're telling me there's a chance.
I know I'm supposed to be objective, but I can't be. I'm so glad it's him.
Ocampo should be advantage in his soul. Good cross in. Irving gets one touch. Ahmed, though! Ball's unattended for half a second, and the Canadian international has his second of the half. Best way to respond and snuff out some momentum and optimism for your opponents is to jab right back. Ahmed's done it again. Here's Golds. So much time, so much space. Picks the pass. Nelson. Golds! He's back, Vancouver!
And there you have it. Golds to Nelson. Beautiful cutback. Just caresses the ball into that bottom right corner. Lost the ball. There's just too much space and too much quality ahead of the Whitecaps.
Ball will fight to the last dying second. Oh, a second! signature corner, Nicolas Mosqueda. Subdued and respectful, the celebration from Mosqueda against his former side, but he knows that that's still a very big goal for his new club.
And Bob just returning the favor. Mosqueda gave him the assist.
Well, Timoteo might be playing out of position. This is a normal responsibility of his. Swinging in deep. Coming back by Perlman. Rea in the traffic. Jenkins follows up and buries. It's a huge step in the right direction for the Halifax Wanderers, as on the second phase of the corner, Nassi Mekidesh scores. His first in blue in 2025 and our first of the match. Played by Johnston. Alphonse tries to clear. It's no further than the captain, Atakubi, though. Gimo from Atakubi. Well hit cross. Pushed along by Altobelli, and Massimo Ferrin burns his old club. First little piece of danger provided by the 9 Stripes in what feels like 40 minutes, but Ferrin doesn't miss his opportunity.
A sigh of relief.